This has been one of the most inspiring episodes of a Vietnam podcast I've done.
What women can do, we do, and we have to believe ourselves. So I asked them the question, why is it rice here? I said, because my wife asked me to put in the rice. If not, she kill me. So that, okay.
We made $24 in a month, working 6:30 a.m. to midnight.
Yes, but I'm so happy. Book every morning because I want to improve myself.
With small business loans. And actually, one of the incredible things that I love is refurbishes old laptop and old equipment and donates it to disadvantaged children, which is incredible. So in today's episode, we're going to share with you a really, really inspiring story. How do you run a business in Vietnam as well? How do you manage a successful business as well while being the mother of 3 children? I'm really excited to introduce my guest today, who is the CEO and founder of HAGA SmartTech, Han. Han, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you so much for giving me a chance to share on your podcast today.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. I have so many questions for you, but the first one is a real technical question, right? How often can you repair a piece of equipment when somebody brings it in by turning it on and off again?
Yes, I didn't have any experience like that.
Never. That happened to me just last week. My internet was not working and I called up FPT and I said, oh, my internet's not working. The first question, have you turned it on and off?
I see that. It's because they depend on the line of the internet, so that they try to ask you to, sometimes you get out the plug and you turn off the Wi-Fi switch and after you turn on.
Stories that you must see it all the time.
So I don't think it's a put the water damage device in the rice is not good way to do that.
So what is the best thing to do if you get your phone wet? What should you do immediately?
Immediately, don't try to turn off the phone. Don't try to turn on the phone. Just keep the phone like that. And if you have the right clothes, you try to clean outside. And you don't try to charge it also. And try to bring to the shop near you if you trust. And you ask technician to open and clean inside. Because the water always detect the phone inside the main board. It's very important, not outside.
I've had a few accidents with this in the past. I remember the first time so many years ago, it was an iPod. So before even smartphones, and I had a bottle of water in my bag and I opened my bag and the bottle of water had opened. So my bag was soaking and I had an iPod. I didn't know this information at the time. So I just was like pressing every button, trying to make it work. And then I obviously broke it. I think I broke it because I was pressing every button. I have learned a lot. There was a couple of years ago, again, similar thing, had a laptop in my backpack. I got to my destination and I sat down and I was like, why is my butt so wet? And then I saw that my bag was dripping with water. Again, I hadn't closed the bottle properly, so the bag had soaked and the laptop was soaked. Thankfully, I learned my lesson, so I wrung it out, didn't turn it on, took it to the store immediately, and they opened it up. And they could see little bits of water, but thankfully, because I hadn't turned it on, because that's the problem, right? If the electricity goes through the water.
Yes, of course. That's a very, very dangerous also. Yeah. And the best way is you don't try to check the device also. Yes. Because when you check the device, the water easy to spray a lot of it, destroy the IC, the chipset and the main board.
Right. All right. We're giving you some valuable advice there as well. The rice thing as well cracks me up. We were on a boat a couple of years ago in the Philippines and the girl dropped her phone in the water and managed to get it out. And we could just overhear people talking and somebody's like, it's okay, just when you get back to the hotel, ask them for some rice, put it in rice. And I was like, what? Rice absorbs water, but you have to boil water for rice to absorb it. Why is rice just going to suddenly suck the water out of your phone? It makes no sense.
Not enough.
I also saw something that's quite racist, but it said that if you want to make your phone better, put it in a bag of rice, then an Asian will show up and fix your phone.
It's actually that's for instant solution for you, but I don't think it's a good way to do that. Yeah.
No. So I'm really interested to hear about your story because I do think it is inspirational. It's amazing. So where are you from originally?
I'm from Hoi An, Quang Nam.
Oh, wow.
I can speak a little Quang Nam for you. It's a pronunciation different. Quang Nam.
Don't joke, not Quang Nam style. Well, you should do that. That should be a thing, Quang Nam style.
Yeah, Quang Nam style.
So give us some Quang Nam.
Yeah. Let's see. I speak English in Vietnam style. Hello, my name is Han from Quang Nam. It's like hello, my name is Han from Quang Nam.
So why is that? So the accent is like deeper and more
Yeah, it's harder.
harder.
Yes.
So we've talked about this before. So this is my excuse for not speaking Vietnamese is one, it is so difficult. Then there's all these different dialects throughout the country, which makes sense. 100 million people, massive country. The central dialect is, from what I know, completely different to the southern dialect. The best example of this was, and I've told this story before, so I'll just tell it quickly, but we were in Da Nang with our friend Kim, who's from Saigon. And we was, oh, can you order? Help us order, you know? So we're all together having lunch, and she talks to the girl in Vietnamese. Neither of them could understand each other. So she ended up just speaking in English to her. This is crazy. You're both Vietnamese, and had to communicate in English because they could not understand each other at all.
Because some pronunciation and some word is different also. So I want to tell you is share one funny story. The first time I went to Ho Chi Minh City and I speak is my accent is from Quang Nam. Nobody understand what I say. And after 3 years, I come back to school. And one time is I have a big issue with my classmate because I tried to get the money from him for the gift for the teacher on the Teacher's Day, but he didn't want to give to me because my pronunciation. And the thing is a big thing is in my life. I apply in the hospital for the waitress at the restaurant. The owner said, no, your pronunciation from Quang Nam is in Vietnamese is so hard to understand how you can speak English. So I have to deal with her. Could you give me 2 weeks to work here? If it's good, you pay me. If not good, I don't get any salary and I will quit by myself. But lucky, after 2 weeks, I do a good job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example then of a word in Vietnamese, in Quang Nam, and then in southern Saigon Vietnamese? How different is the pronunciation?
Okay, that's good. You know, setup, bike,
Bike. Oh, bike.
yeah, bike, bicycle. It's a pronunciation from the south of Vietnam. Yeah, but Quang Nam is setup.
It's quite different.
Quite different.
Yeah.
So it's like it's from my province. The people say something funny. It's my countryside. It's a rich people because we don't use a setup here. We don't use a bike here. We use setup.
What have you noticed? Right. So I think Americans are really guilty of this as well. And I think Vietnamese are quite guilty of it as well. Is they don't get meaning from context. Right. So if you're speaking to somebody in Saigon and you say sadop, right? But you're like holding a bicycle, or you're saying, I want to get my sadop repaired. I don't understand as a foreigner, because I'll sometimes try my best. That's a lie. I don't try my best. But sometimes I'll try and say a word in Vietnamese and they have no idea what I'm saying. And I think to myself, I can only be talking about one thing. Like foreigners talk about this. Like, for example, there's a joke a comedian made. She went to go buy some Nook Mia. The lady sold one thing, Nook Mia, and she asked for Nook Mia, and the woman couldn't understand what she was saying. Yeah, but this is my point, is why Vietnamese people, like, how, even if you say it incorrectly, you're only asking for one thing, you only sell one thing. How do you not understand what she's saying? But I also think Americans are really guilty of this as well, because when I lived in America, for example, you say, can I get a bottle of water? No, you probably didn't understand what I said there either, did you? Did you understand me?
Actually, I understand.
Yes, but that's fine, right? But you might be in a shop. So if I'm very Scottish, I say, can I get a bottle of water? And Americans will be like, huh? I don't understand you. And I'll be like, oh, a bottle of water. Now you understand me, right? So I get it. Bottle of water and bottle of water are very different. But again, I never understand. You sell one thing, like a bottle of water, even if you don't understand me, how can't you guess? So my question is, as you've given an example, people in Quang Nam might not understand if you use the southern accent. Do you think Vietnamese people don't understand things? Or is the language, the pronunciation is so different? Why don't they understand things when it can only be one thing?
It's if for Quang Nam people, they understand the language from the south of Vietnam. But from the people from the south of Vietnam, don't understand them. It's not just one word, but another word also. Like many words, it's like Quang Nam, they speak so fast and so hard. And pronunciation is, they can change their tones. Actually, it's, when I live in Ho Chi Minh City long time, I cannot change it 100% also. You see? And when I speak English also, I have to try to practice by myself in front of mirror. Yes, of course. Because sometimes when I speak English, I remember it's the first time I speak in the hotel. The order to me is like the orange juice, but they speak so fast. I don't understand what does it mean. Orange juice, orange juice. So I don't understand what's that. So it's when I speak in Quang Nam, the pronunciation is orange juice. They say it's a different. So that is like it's not easy. So it's like the people from the south of Vietnam, they cannot understand the language from the people from Quang Nam or from another kind of province. But it's from Quang Nam, they can understand because from the south Vietnam, easy, slow, soft, and easy communication. So if some student they study at with the British program, they can understand all the language on the English in the world. But the student study with American English, sometimes they cannot get your voice.
Well, from what I can tell, most Vietnamese parents want an American teacher. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Because it's easy to understand. Because it's slow and easy and something like that. But it's just my second daughter. She said British is good pronunciation.
Right.
Yes, she said that.
I guess the difference with America is it's obviously such a big country, 300 million people, 330 million people. And the accent is pretty similar. Like you can tell the little bit of a difference between like Boston and California is slightly different, but they're all pretty much the same massive country. Whereas in the UK, as I mentioned, you travel 30 minutes and the accent is completely different. So I can understand why most people want their children to learn from an American teacher because it's going to be pretty neutral. I had a class that I taught for 2 years once and I went away on holiday and I came back and the substitute teacher was like, they sound so Scottish. And I was like, no, they don't. She's like, listen to them. And because I'd been away, I could hear one of the students and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh my God, he does sound so Scottish. That's exactly like me. So I feel like a lot of students do take on, you meet students with like Australian accents, South African accents, things like this.
Yes. One more time, I said I still happy because I didn't have time to travel another country in Vietnam. It just stay here. But I spent just a little money for study English because that time is so tight for me. So every time I work, I try to learn. And now I still listen to the English book every morning because I want to improve myself. Because the English is not enough now, and I do the business. I want to explain more to my customer, understand more, and I want to train to my team also because next time I will have more staff, and the staff is now they confident they writing, but about speaking they don't feel confident. So that I think the first I have to improve myself first, and after that my staff will have the skill on that. And happy that means I have customer who always try to explain to us because they know that it's a sometimes it's a, we have to understand it's a carefully and we can bring the good service. That's a very important.
It's quite funny sometimes when I do overhear foreigners speaking to any staff, your staff, or in a restaurant. I can hear they're speaking slowly as well. It seems to me it's quite funny. They're just being polite, same as me, speaking like slowly and properly. It does sound almost condescending, but they are just trying to be nice, I know for sure. And it's interesting what you're saying about speaking and reading and the different skills, because I never thought about that till I became an English teacher myself. To me, you just learn the language. I didn't think about the different skills of speaking, listening, reading, writing. And it is true there are many people in Vietnam who have really good English skills, but they can't speak so well. And I had somebody I worked with, I don't want to give away their name or anything like that, but someone I worked with, we were having like a perfect communication by text. And then the first time we met, I could not understand one word that they said. And I don't know how much they understood what I was saying. But our conversation was in depth about business, like completely understood what was going on. And so that was one of the, not the first time, but it was a real big example of a massive difference between reading and writing and speaking and listening.
Yes. Truly, is now is all the student in Vietnam. They have a chance to study a lot of course in the university, but they don't have the environment to practice English and the work also. And sometimes they feel not confident about that. And it's English, the same we are talking like that. We don't have the time to practice so that we can forget. And a lot of the students, they come Vietnam from overseas, they cannot speak also long time, they don't work. And they have a graduate from the university like the bank university or training university, but they cannot do that. So I think it's the best way is you study and you have to balance your four skills. for skill very important.
And do you think, from my knowledge, a lot of Vietnamese parents put an overemphasis on the speaking part? I know in my experience, they'll be like, no, we just want speaking. And you're like, no, you need to learn all four of them. There's no point being able to speak if you can't do everything else.
Actually, it's how to say that? It's like Vietnamese also is like we speak like that. But if we want to improve, we have to read the book also. So that is in Vietnam is I think it's nowadays is the technology. I do is technology, but I know that we have to try to read the book is and the mom and father and the family also and that's a skill in for the university also. We can now let students read the book so that they don't have a lot of vocabularies and they don't want to communicate and they use ChatGPT also.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
What's another thing as well that people don't understand why foreign teachers are in such demand, and they do get paid relatively well. That's just a fact that foreign teachers get paid better than local teachers, unfortunately. But part of the reason is, and I've been in public schools because they can sit and learn everything, and the teacher can teach the English grammar and everything well. And then similar thing happens. I've been in public schools where the English teacher can barely speak English, they can barely communicate. And so you've got a class of 50 people that can read perfectly, write perfectly, but can barely say a word. So it is why foreign teachers are quite important to be able to teach that.
Yes, of course. When I was at the language school, I remember it's like I have to wait for my teacher is finish everything and just say hello, how are you, and goodbye, just like that. But I feel confident. Is like next time I will ask, is how are you today? Is did you have a good day? So what will you do? So I step by step to do that. But I pass myself because I think if I don't speak, I cannot communicate with the people. If I don't speak, I cannot share you what I'm thinking. It's not the right thing. It's not sharing something. So now it's like when I further, I want to find a school for my children, my daughters. I always focus on for skill also. Maybe in Vietnam we have good skill on writing, grammar and vocabulary. You know, it's a Vietnamese always teach like that. But we have a 50% for speaking, listening. It's maybe speaking is we made a mistake, but after that we know and we correct ourselves. We don't speak, we don't know we said wrong.
In the time I've been here, I mean, the change has been incredible how much the improvement in speaking. I mean, when we first came, it was quite normal. For one, just not many people spoke English. Like I've noticed the difference in 10 years. It was really normal to come into a coffee shop or a mobile phone shop and you just expected them not to speak English. Now you just expect everybody to speak English. And then even back then when people could speak a little bit of English, often the pronunciation was so bad that even then you really struggled to understand what they're saying. Now people speak to you in the clearest American accent and you're like, oh, okay. Like it just, the pronunciation is incredible. But what was it like then when you came from Hoi An? You're the first person I've ever met who grew up in Hoi An. What was it like back in Hoi An? Wouldn't have been as touristy back then, right? When did they? Wait, I was gonna say when did they find Hoi An? I know Hoi An has only been there, but it only really opened up like 20, 30 years ago.
I think it's let's see. When I was to try there, it's nobody know about Hoi An. Yes. So when I was 14 years old, so that I think it's Hoi An is full by the tourists 20 years ago or 25 years ago. Because at that time is I remember the first time I come to Hoi An, it's less tourists, just Vietnamese. And after that, my uncle said, maybe I let my house rent because a lot of foreigners want to rent my house. It's a good price. Why I don't move my house to another place? So that's my memory about that. And after 10 years, I come back there. I'm a visitor there. And I see, wow, so different. So different now with the service, with on the panel with the English and Chinese and Japanese sometimes. And the people there, they know how to do the tourists, support the people and the service also.
It's crazy how much it must have changed in such a short space of time. Because it would have been, I think I've seen old pictures, it was quite dilapidated, like old, the buildings were old, no tourists. Now you go there,
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah. It's just a few days ago, my daughter said, when we come back there, they love it.
Yeah, I think I'm going next week, actually. I'm really excited. I've been to Hoi An several times. It's pretty amazing. So how did you end up coming to work in a garment factory then at only 14? I mean, you're a child still?
My life is not the same another child in this village because my mom and my dad have big problem with the health. They cannot support my study. That time I just think I come to Ho Chi Minh City because I hear that here they have some factory. I can work there. I can earn the money and I can send to support my parents. I just think like that. So I came to Ho Chi Minh City with my aunt and she support me with work there. And after 3 years, I feel no, I cannot work at the factory anymore because it's so hard for me because I'm only trying like this, not turn. And it's so hard. I work from 6 a.m. until 12 midnight. I don't have enough. And sometimes I feel so tired. So what I do, I I hear some on the radio. It said they have for the people want to study at night. So that I follow that again. And I try to ask the director, could I work in the day and the night I can come back to school? She said to me, I opened these companies for 15 years. Nobody can do that. So you make sure you can do that or not. Because I'm worried when you quit yourself, you feel responsible yourself and you cannot believe about the something is in life. It can happen magical with you. And I said, I believe myself. It's just a small girl. Yeah, it's a hard, but it's a small girl. And only my mom, the person who cannot read, who cannot write, support me that time. She said, whatever your decision, I support you. I don't have anything to support you, but it's by my heart, I support you. That's right.
So how did you get the job in Saigon? Because to me, and for people in the West, and I'm sure you agree as well, a 14-year-old child working from 6 a.m. to midnight, do you remember how much you were getting paid per hour?
Yes, how I can get a job? I come to the company and the director, she is the teacher. Early morning is we work from 6:30 with the company, the factory open 6:30 a.m. But I always be there 6 a.m. And they don't want to give me the job because so small and only 14 cannot. And I said to them, please give me because I can work in the farm and I go to the mountain to collect many things to support my family since I was 10 years old.
And the factory was in
Saigon.
Saigon.
I
So you'd
moved.
already traveled
Yeah, I travel by bus,
as a 14-year-old,
14 years old.
found the factory.
Yes.
How did you find it?
Well, my auntie,
Right.
yeah, who support me to find that.
It blows my mind that you're smiling so much about this, which is beautiful. And I know, I mean, I've had hard times in my life as well. Nothing like this, nothing even close to this. And we always kind of smile about it. How are you so happy about this? Like, to me, I'm aghast that a 14-year-old child got a job in a factory. I assume you were making like $1 an hour and had to work from 6:30 in the morning. And you look so happy about it. And sorry to jump in as well. The other thing I think as a foreigner, we don't realize that that's life-changing to you as well, though, because your background, you've come from going up to the mountains, working in a farm. I can't compare to that because I grew up in a house and I went to school and I had food and blah, blah, blah. So I can't really imagine at 14 that that's a good thing that you got a job. But sorry, I'm jumping on I'm talking on top of you.
Okay, well, if my family don't have a big problem with my father and my mom, I don't have chance to come to Saigon that time. Because I think is that time I continue to study high school, continue university, and I find a job there, and maybe I get married there also. But when I have a chance to come to here, and I find a job, and I meet a lot of people. The people here so nice, and here is my second place who build myself, and I meet I have a really good relationship. So the people there support me when I ask them give me the favor because I need the money for my family. That time just like that. And they look at me every day so that they believe I can do that. And after 3 years, I continue. So they believe me again. They give me the chance. If they don't give me the chance, I cannot do. So I still keep the relationship with them until now. And always I send them a message to ask them. I said, how are you? I said that. And I said,
To make a rule saying don't hire children, and I'm sure in the West, some countries would love to hire children if they if they still could. The British Empire was built off of child labor, right? Like we made stuff. But I was so I've done some work with lots of charities here. That was my previous job, and we were down in the Mekong Delta. We helped build a school for underprivileged children, and then we went by a shoe factory. And I said we were working with Saigon Children's Charity, and I said, Is child labor a real problem? Because we hear this in the West, right? We hear lots about child labor and it's obviously terrible. The answer blew me away and it was really interesting. So it's the opposite problem, that children want to work in the factory. And the factory actually, they go as far now, because companies like Nike and Adidas and all of these companies, they don't want child labor. They do DNA tests of the children to make sure they're old enough, because they would ID them to make sure they're old enough, and they would start making fake IDs to say that they were 16. And it blew me away because, again, for a child, the salary might only be $1 or $2 an hour, but that's, say it's $2 an hour, it's $80 a week, 106, doing the quick math, that's $320 a month, which sounds like nothing. But if you're 14, 15 years old and you can bring home to your mum and dad who may be sick, who may be invalid.
I meet a lot of my friends, my customer, they share me a lot of, it's a positive energy. So what I keep for myself, I share with them, because sometimes they cannot find a way. Maybe I can find a way for myself, but so that I want to share with them, I want to inspire them. What women can do, we do. And we have to believe ourselves, and one day we can have better life.
This has been one of the most inspiring episodes of a Vietnam podcast I've done. Han, thank you so much for sharing your story on a Vietnam podcast. This is absolutely incredible. As I said, I've been coming to HAGA SmartTech for years, and we've communicated online many times. It's the first time this is why I love this podcast. I actually get to talk to people on a much deeper level, and hearing your story and sharing your story will live with me for a long time. So Han, thank you so much for everything you do with HAGA, for everyone's technology, and sharing your story on a Vietnam podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I hope this podcast can inspire to some people who do the business in Vietnam. Because the hard time is not hard. So we try to find solution for ourselves, and our energy will survive together.
Amazing. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget, rate, review, subscribe, share, do everything like that to help this podcast grow. And thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget, we have an episode every Sunday. The Saigon Sunday sessions are on the road with Niall and AJ. It's mostly an episode that we make for YouTube, but I do post it on the podcast as well. So if you're not on YouTube, you can listen to it, but go onto the YouTube and watch it if you can. And don't forget, every Wednesday we bring you a new episode of a Vietnam podcast, sharing stories of people connected to Vietnam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.